Hey everyone, this is Citizen Kane. As you can tell by my background, Simply Secular Dave right over here.
Hey, hey.
I was on B's channel, and B does a atheist history hour or whatever. So I was just goofing around playing with, I was just playing around with all kinds of stupid stuff, Dave, in chat. I have my Citizen Kane, I have my cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and of course my own personal favorite, Nosferatu.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Nosferatu.
I think I was on there. I chatted her that something was going on here. I was fixing a hot water valve under my sink at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's up, Sammy?
Namaste.
Namaste.
Touche, my friend.
Oh, I should have thought of that. See, whenever someone says something funny, I'm like, man, I should have really thought of that.
Oh, yeah. You can't get them all, and you got to share a few.
Yeah, oh, that's the thing too. Yeah, and usually I feel like I'm gracious. I feel like I'm good about setting people up. Like I do the assist a lot.
I will say though, there is a thing that I've noticed about comedians of all ilks. When you give them a compliment, they always kind of self-deprecate on it. And there's a thing now going around, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's going around, and I've heard it on a bunch of comedians' channels. And they do the take it, just take it. Somebody gives you a compliment, take it, just take it.
Well, Jack Maturko, I've been working with Jack for over 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years maybe, and he's been working on me. He's been my therapist about, Andy, just take the freaking compliment. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do.
Well, if he's been working on it, then I will follow up on his work, and I will harass you about it till the end of time. So yeah.
Wow, I like your new brand of therapy, harassment therapy.
You hadn't noticed so far?
Harassment therapy. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Well, speaking of borrowing ideas, you're quite welcome to borrow this idea if you so choose, Sandy. You might not find it humorous at all, but you were talking about yoga, and I was thinking about the stupid names, and I understand it's Eastern, so translation isn't great into English. So I was coming up with some more appropriate current names, at least I think fitting for this conversation, this show anyway. And I'm going to call this new yoga system, Make Your Chakra Great Again.
I think Prime Minister Modi in India is probably trying to do something like that.
Yeah. Some of the names I've thought of is for the positions is the strange bird,
Right.
the agonizing atheist.
Oh, hey, I like that.
Current themes: greet the rising death toll.
Wow, that's hard.
Yeah, a little dark. A little lighter than we've got the downward dripping dye. And my favorite, the disappointed cat.
Oh, the disappointed cat, indeed. Dude, those are great. My buddy Jack, talking about Jack for a second more, he did a book called it was Cthulhu-based yoga poses.
So, Jesus.
It's just a gag book, basically, of course, that he has on Amazon. Funny stuff, though. Funny stuff. No, but I like the idea about making yoga great again. And there's a Prime Minister Modi, and all those jokes are just. I'll probably use it for the blog, to tell you the truth.
My favorite yoga pose is duck and cover, or perhaps downward tripping dog. Yeah.
Right.
That's with the one arm folded underneath.
Good time. So you guys do anything exciting over the weekend?
I worked a graveyard on Sunday morning, so that kind of messed with my system a little bit yesterday. So
Right.
I've just been doing not too much renovations. It was an empty building that I rented that I've been doing up that I'm going to utilize as like a day center, but also like just a base where participants can be dropped off and picked up, or a safe space, you know, in the local community. They can drop in anytime, have a cup or a chat.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Some
That's good. These drop-in centers, right? I think we need more of those, definitely.
So,
Now, when you do that, Sammy, do you get a grant from the government to give you a hand with it? How does that work out in terms, because there's money involved in getting something up and running?
no, it's all private. So I've got to, you know, somehow advertise the fact that I exist.
Yeah.
Then find the people with the need, and then, you know, come up with a service that they hopefully want. So, you know, but the need is pretty great.
Sure. You know, I've had a bunch of guys come through here doing funding movies, you know, small budget movies, but still, you know, still making money off of Kickstarter and primarily Kickstarter. But that sounds like something GoFundMe could help you out with too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I've got a business model and everything. It's all basically funded already. So
that's great, dude.
You know, yeah, it's just a matter of doing it. So
you're doing the Lord's work, Sammy. That's what you're doing.
I am. Glob's work.
Glob. Oh, my glob. I just shrunk my head down so I could be in.
So you can fit the hat. Very nice.
So now I'm like, you know, able to get the hat on for the whole vibe here.
Well, the camera makes you look quite tall. It's a good angle.
It is a good. I work hard. I work hard at lighting to get this crappy lighting under control.
It's the devil in the details, right?
It really is. It really is. So I see that you were sharing a screen here, Dave.
Yeah, so you could add these to your Amazon wish list.
So this is the stress brick. I like that. The stress brick, indeed. Is it wrong to sell just real bricks as stress bricks? I imagine there's problems with that legally speaking.
I got to tell you, there's a foam giveaway hockey puck, because they won't give away real hockey pucks anymore. For those of you who don't know, I am a Canadian. Everyone knows what a hockey puck is.
Right.
So these discs of very, very solid rubber that they refrigerate before a hockey game, so that when you hit somebody with it, you basically cripple them. So when we play recreational hockey, we have a bag of pucks. So if you've ever been in a Canadian locker room, you've heard the phrase "dumber than a bag of pucks." So that's where it comes from. Usually I have 20 or 30 pucks for when you first go out on the ice to warm up. Everybody takes shots at the goalie, and everybody grabs a puck and takes a few shots at the goalie. So my buddy and I got one of these free giveaway pucks, and the logo on it peeled off. So it looked exactly like a plain black practice puck. So we went in the locker room, and we were joking around with each other. And I said, "Hey, shut up." And I flung a puck at him, and he caught it on purpose, and he tossed it back at me. So I purposefully dropped it on the ground, picked up the foam rubber puck, and just winged it at him as hard as I could. And he took it off the side of the head. And everybody in the room was like, and then they realized it was one of those dummy pucks. And they're like, "Oh, you assholes."
That was great. That's great, Dave. That's a hidden camera moment right there. So, dude, you're about we're the same age, and so you must remember hockey players not wearing helmets, right? That was a, which is crazy.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah, it was a different time back then. When
life was cheap in 1973.
well, there was a different time for a bunch of aspects in the game. Number one is there wasn't an off season where you worked out constantly to make sure that you were in peak physical form for the first day of the year. Preseason was only like 3 days, and you had pretty much drank and smoked and partied and pissed away all of the very little money they made back then over the off season. So these guys weren't in tremendous physical condition, and they weren't shooting with these new sticks. I don't know if you know about the new composite sticks,
No.
but the new composite hockey sticks, they can add a few miles an hour to your slap shot. They can add a couple of miles an hour to your wrist shot, but they reduce your accuracy by about 15% if you're not used to playing with one of these really high-end hockey sticks.
Right.
And they cost, upwards of $300 a piece. So when you see, if you're watching a hockey game and you see a guy break 2 sticks in a game, they make a lot of money. It's not a big deal. And most of those things are through sponsorships. But, in any given hockey game, you'll see $2,000 or $3,000 worth of hockey sticks get broken. But what happens is there's an increase in velocity and there's a down curve in accuracy. And the game has changed to the point where whether you're on the opposing team or the defending team, you're always trying to tip the puck that's going towards the net. When the defenseman comes out to the point, rather than try to block it with their pads now, which hurts a lot, I've done it a number of times, and the guys I play with don't shoot nearly as hard as the guys in the NHL, but it'll sting you. So you get your stick in the way and you try to deflect the puck upwards over the net. That's where everybody's faces are. So, yeah, until they put in a rule where you can't tip the puck up or you get a penalty, which I hope they never do. But that puck comes by your ear at 80 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. If you get hit by a rubber puck at that speed, it's going to bust you open. If it hits you in the eye or the nose, it can cause a serious injury. And that's why hockey players are all missing a couple of teeth.
Yep.
Right? A puck or a stick hits you in the face and it's a bad day.
So, Dave,
you say that's crazy, but don't you still have states handy where it's not a law to wear a helmet on a motorbike?
Yeah.
Yeah, New Hampshire. There's no helmet law because of freedom. It's insane. It really is. And considering that I've worked with guys who've gotten massive head injuries from falling off a motorcycle, you see the damage that it can cause for decades afterwards. It's madness. That's what it's actually. One of my ex-girlfriends, her cousin lost part of his leg. He lost from the knee down, on his left leg.
Well, a helmet wouldn't help your leg.
It would not. See, now here's the thing, Dave. If I was really going to do an Oxford-style debate, the topic that I wouldn't talk about the resurrection. I wouldn't talk about Jesus or the existence of God. I would talk about whether or not riding a motorcycle is rational. And this is blowing up. This would just blow up our entire community here.
All right, let's do it. Sorry, continue with your person who had a motorcycle incident.
Yeah, so it's just dangerous, and of course, my background is that I've due to disability, I've always been a clumsy kid and everything like that. So my first, second, and third question is: am I going to get hurt? Will I get hurt? And can I get hurt?
How badly will it hurt?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of states. There are a few states that don't have motorcycle helmet laws, and it is crazy. And the girlfriend points out they prefer death over laws.
Well, I remember from doing my rider course, they were talking about the length of time that different materials give you before the road will contact your skin. So, cotton as opposed to denim, as opposed to Kevlar. And the best of the best will only give you seconds, at high speed before it's skin on tar. So some big biker's bald head. It boggles me that anyone
It
would.
also depends on the surface you're on. If you're on a smooth surface and you go down and it's a rainy day, you'll slide a long way.
Yeah.
But there are guys I know who've worn Kevlar jeans or Kevlar pants, right? Or leather pants, and they've slid down a soft, smooth road a long way. And if you're not tumbling, if you like end up on your back and you're sliding along your ass, you will get a burn on your ass from the heat generated from the friction of your ass going down the road.
Ass burn. I never even thought about ass burn before.
Yeah. And worse yet, guys who don't wear a belt, if you're wearing Kevlar jeans and they're not affixed properly to your waistline,
Here
they come off quickly. It's like jumping into a swimming pool with loose-fitting shorts on.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, I can't do the mathematics, the physics mathematics involved, but I can get an intuitive vibe for what goes on.
An intuitive. That's what we were going for. There is the intuitive vibe of, like I wear armored leather gloves and I wear a Joe Rocket armored jacket and I wear proper jeans and I always wear at least like hiking boots.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
But there are times when I'm driving in excess of, let's just say, the speed limit. And, the thought does go through your head, what if I hit a sparrow at this speed?
You don't ever wear flip-flops and a wife beater?
I wouldn't even do the photo shoot. But I've seen people do that. I've seen a guy in Crocs, shorts, and a wife beater with no gloves on a sport bike that was bigger and faster than mine.
Tramp stamp road rash.
Tramp stamp road rash.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it'll rip through your shirt faster than it'll rip through your pants. The back of the shoulder blades and the rear end and the knees are the fastest. That's the most frequent road rash injuries, right? And elbows.
So tell me this: would it be useful at all, besides just safety, peace of mind, about wearing a cup?
No,
absolutely not. Not helpful at all. Maybe that was a fast response too. So you've thought about this.
If you're gonna, not to get gory or anything, but if somebody hits something that's going to stop them fast enough to go over the gas tank, the gas tank is smooth enough to basically shoot you in an upwards motion, and your knees are bent. So as you go forward, your legs will straighten out. The big problem is there are handlebars on the front of a motorcycle.
Sure.
And they catch you just above the knees. So there is a common injury, aside from having your neck snapped by hitting the truck in front of you, having both your hips dislocated by having your legs trapped behind the bars as you go forward.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm learning so many things about ass burn and getting hips dislocated. Yeah.
I don't know the guy who it happened to, but very, very, very long ago, I used to ride a motorcycle at a racetrack. And one of the guys told me a story about a guy who he was jackassing down the road and a Cadillac pulled out in front of him and he hit the rear bumper. Cadillacs are pretty low.
Yeah.
And he tried to clear the Cadillac, but wasn't going fast enough. So he landed on the roof, came down over the windshield and slid off the hood.
Uh-oh.
But Cadillacs have a hood ornament.
Yeah. Oh.
And it tore him from the shoulder down to his hip, basically.
Is he still alive?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't tear him super deep, but I mean, obviously having a big chunk of metal run across your body is not a good day.
Yeah. I could see that kind of injury causing you to bleed out if it hits something.
If it was deep enough, but ornaments aren't generally bladed.
Right. Interesting. The Romans had this rule that was called the 1 inch rule. There were like 7 parts on the human body that you could just puncture like 1 inch and a person would bleed out over it. So yeah. But there's, I had, Andy talks about ex-girlfriends. I had an ex-girlfriend whose brother was in prison. And I might have told this story before. He was assaulted by 2 guys. One guy held him from behind. The other guy shivved him with an ice pick 7 times.
Oh.
Didn't kill the guy. he was able to beat up both of the two dudes and then run to the infirmary afterwards. It just shows you how weird the human body is, you know.
It's exceptionally resilient, but it does have its flaws.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah. We talked about it before. We need that alligator growing back limbs thing. Yeah, and the jellyfish live forever thing.
The
jellyfish. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We were talking about that. The video that I dropped on Saturday with Dr. Abby Hafer. We actually talked about the eternity of the jellyfish, of certain types of jellyfish. Yeah,
I did watch that after I woke up, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. You know, it's a great deal, and also they can you know, transform themselves into their younger form, right?
Well, they literally like melt their cells down to the basic components and regenerate cells to re-exist.
Yeah. Dude, it's so fucking awesome.
I want to know. I'm very curious, and I should probably send her, or maybe Brainbug would know if he's here still. But when those cells regenerate, do they still have the errors in them that we make when we're making human beings, and human beings are formed, and they have those 128 out of several billion that's an error, or I think it's 25 million pairs, and there's 128 on average errors in every replication of a cell in a human being when they're born naturally. So I don't know if the jellyfish has that many pairs, or hey, Jason.
Hey. That's a good question. That is a good question.
Because can you imagine you regenerate your cells and something flips a switch and you come back as the opposite sex?
Well, you know,
this is a good premise for a movie or a book.
Yeah.
Who do we know that's a writer?
Yeah. You know, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that would have a lot of things to say about that, Dave. You're not really a woman. You're not really a man.
Oh yeah. Oh my! I hate to do the tangent here, but I'm on Twitter with Katie Montgomery, and the crap that people write to Katie is just sad.
It's really?
Sad. Yeah, about well, that's not your real name. Well, are you going to send a text message to Ted Cruz as well? Because that's not his real name.
Yeah. You know, what I always loved, right, is the that's just a made up word. It's like, do you understand language?
They all are made up words.
It's just a made up word. And it's like, you know how stupid that you sound right now.
Yeah. Like drop bears, right? That's just a made up word.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Lizard Man, Spider-Man villain. There is because he can regenerate, right? That was the whole premise. I think who is it? Dr. Connors, who's the alter ego of Lizard Man. He was trying to find a way to regenerate his arm, I think.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I never read enough comics when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think I might have read. No. You know, I mean, I read a fair amount. I had a decent collection back in the day.
I don't know where my dad got them. I'm pretty sure they were just put out in some restaurant or business that he visited. And when their comics got old, they would hand them to him and say, "Oh, take these home to your son."
No.
And I have some comics that are so not politically correct.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I could imagine, especially in Canada, if they're smaller publishers, because you know Marvel and DC had to go with had to follow the comics code for a long period of time. But there are third publishers and things that happened before the comics code too.
I don't know where it's from. I'll look up this one that it always haunts me that I own this thing, but I'll see it. I thought it was a DC. Marvel. It's a Marvel comic.
Oh, Marvel book. All right. Like there was, there's some, especially the smaller publishers. There were some particularly gory, you know, comics out there, horror comics.
Yeah. Oh, I have a bunch of those too.
Yeah.
I was.
Okay. I'm gonna screen share.
I was a Jehovah's Witness, so I got nothing to offer. I had Star Trek. That's it. I think most Jehovah's Witnesses got away with Star Trek.
How awful is that?
That is on a scale of 1 to 10. That is awful, Dave.
Come on, really? Who thought this was a good idea?
Some white guy, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Watching old comics and cartoons does help me understand why we're still where we are.
Yeah. Once you start getting, whenever someone says something like, I can't believe this is happening in 2021, I'm like, we have a long history of being bad to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did you even see 10 years ago?
It's only 10 years ago, too. Only 10 years ago.
Oh, man, yeah. Remember the 80s?
And then I just have to start talking about some of my stories about the Huck Finn story, any story from the 90s or 80s, you can start wheeling those out and you see things have changed for the better in many ways.
Yeah.
But when you see how bad things can be, it's like, well, yeah, I don't understand nostalgia, to tell you the truth, about having rose-colored glasses about what happened like 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's like, yeah.
Well, remember, most people reflect on their own life experience, right? So, I mean, I grew up in a very multicultural, average income to low income neighborhood where, we made our own fun. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't go out.
Not always legal.
Not going to incriminate myself with that one, but we found stuff to do, and sometimes that was go for a walk on the river and turn over some rocks. That was go fishing, make a tree fort. We did those things, right? So those are all good, happy memories. But I mean, I wasn't aware of the political situation at the time, and I wasn't aware of who was fighting for human rights at the time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware of most of what was going on in the United States because we had, 4 Canadian TV channels up here, and they all had Canadian TV news. So
what I really like about Dave, everyone, is that he's able to eloquently imply that I just had a shitty childhood. That's why you don't have nostalgia, Andy, is because you had a shitty childhood. I'm not saying it in such a nice Canadian way. You're gonna have to flip the denominator and the numerator to really understand.
I'm not saying you focused on the negative too much when you were young, but I think you were exposed to a lot of it that I never saw.
Sure. See, very good.
Well, if this shines a light on my childhood, my first run-in with the police, I was maybe 12, I think.
Me too.
And it was for stealing a milk crate full of garden pavers that I wanted to build my garden at home from the local school, the local primary school. I was wheeling them home on a skateboard.
Nice.
And some canteen, what we call canteen ladies. Sounds so misogynistic now. I say it as an adult in 2021. But they were working late in the school for some reason and saw me and my friend loading up these milk crates with the garden pavers. And, there was police on the other side of the school doing random breath testing at the time. Just unfortunately, so these ladies walked over and told the cops what we were doing. And
I just want to put a pin in this random breath testing, but just to say hello to Kevin. Kevin, I think you're Kevin Chaos. I think your mic is muted, sir. But I thought I'd say hello to you before pivoting back. Random breath tests. What was that all about?
So that's roadside breath. Alcohol breath testing.
Okay.
In Australia, we have no rights. They don't need an excuse to do a random breath test. That's why it's a random breath test.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains things.
So they can either pull you over or they'll often set up on the side of the road.
Sure.
Same as in America, but
Yeah. The road checks and everything. How you doing today, Kevin? Maybe you can't hear me.
I'm good. I'm on my commute right now. Just switched to my headset.
Okay, I hear you. Yep, cool. Mighty Mouse says, we had a war on racist lawn jockeys. I am acquainted with them. Yes.
Lawn jockeys? Are those like the little figurine guys?
Well, they're bigger than little figurine guys, but they are relatively wee figurine guys.
So life size.
They're like maybe up to your knee, right? Up to your knee. Yeah, but I can see how there would be a war on racist lawn jockeys. Yeah.
I drove a long way out to my friend's place one day to meet up with them, and they got tied up, and I didn't get the message before I left the house that they weren't going to be there. And they had a whole bunch of pairs of like bunny rabbits and chipmunks and the little ceramics in their yard. So while I was waiting for them to get home, I positioned them erotically. I positioned them erotically, yes. And they did. It was it was a long time, and I had messed around with their yard long enough, so I jumped back on the motorcycle and took off. And boy, their neighbors were really pissed off about that. It was an incident for sure.
An incident in the cul-de-sac. Look out.
Well, they were in one of those like home community things. They had a homeowners association. They had a meeting about it. And
It was a meeting. Was it a blue ribbon commission to investigate it?
There was like 4 people laughing and 2 people going, "That's terrible."
Yeah. Jeez.
Where is Kevin Chaos from? What region of the globe?
I'm in Sacramento, California.
Ooh, another West Coaster.
Wow.
Yep.
I think we're almost at the same, is it latitude? Yeah. Width of the earth, whatever. The same position.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dragons of Genesis says, hit the like button. A random breath test will find you for caffeine use. For caffeine use?
Oh, man.
Sounds very Mormon-y.
Ours, do you know what's really bad, Andy?
Tell me.
Ours now do. I know that it's the same in America. You can get drug tested on the side of the road, but they brought in random drug testing. These things you just swipe your tongue. Maybe 2 years ago now, that detects marijuana. So.
Really? Do those
Thing
work?
is, though, they're really
yeah,
reliable.
absolutely. But they are they can't detect an amount. So if it's in your system at all,
They detect a minimum amount. There's a threshold.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
There's if you've ever been drug tested, which I have.
Sure.
I had to get drug tested for a bunch of different positions that I've taken with companies. So if you do the pee in a cup one, there's a little, it looks like a pill bottle but wider, and there's a bunch of strips inside it, and each one detects a drug. So you urinate in the thing to like half to 3/4 full, and you hand it to the gloved attendant. And the first time I did it, I peed in the cup, and I said, "So how do we tell if it's positive on anything?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Have you done any drugs?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Well, then it's not going to be positive on anything, is it?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense."
It was really awesome the first time I had a drug test because I didn't realize they needed me to pee in the cup.
Oh no!
I'm just kidding. That was just Was that a cum joke? Maybe it was, and I apologize to everyone.
We're gonna need a bigger cup.
We're gonna-
I don't know how true it is, but I've been told that the mouth ones or the saliva ones don't work in that if you're a heavy smoker and your levels are normal, it won't detect it as easily as a non-smoker who has just had some. And I will say I've been tested a few times and I've never come up positive. And one time I will incriminate myself because it was long enough ago. I don't need to worry about it, but I worked at a place where I lived literally just down the road, and I was young and stupid, and it was a time when I would pump 5 or 6, quick billies, jump on my motorbike, race down the street. I was probably still blowing smoke out as I'm walking into work, taking my helmet off. And they go, we're doing drug tests today, Sam, you're first. So I thought, oh, well, I might as well just go home now. But I thought, no, I've been told that these things are pretty unreliable, and I might as well have a go. So I went in, I was sweating, I was shaking. He knew. And so I fessed up. I said, look, I do smoke. I haven't smoked since last night. And he said, the saliva one won't pick it up then. As long as you haven't smoked today, you'll be right. So, knowing I had literally just smoked, I thought, well, this is it then. And we did the test, and it's printing its thing out, and I'm watching all the different drugs, and it was like the worst ones at the top, heroin and all the ones I knew I didn't have, and I'm waiting for marijuana, and it come up 000 and negative.
Very likely it was either an old test kit that he used, or it wasn't actually testing for marijuana. It was only testing for hard drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
It reminds me, years ago, I went into a job interview and I was expecting a drug test. I went through all the trouble. I had my dad come over and pee in a balloon for me and all this crazy stuff. And I go through the whole interview with this balloon taped to my thigh. And I get out of there, and they never drug tested me. So it was just like this really unnecessary, uncomfortable,
gross
like,
experience.
there's one thing I learned in the Boy Scouts is that you always got to have a pee-filled balloon strapped to your leg in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
When I went for my drug test for my most recent job, there was myself and a girl were scheduled for around the same time, and she showed up as I was waiting for mine, and she said, "Oh, I'm having a rough morning. I was out at the bar last night," and this is drug and alcohol testing for the position. And I said, "Oh," I'm like, "Did you have anything to drink last night?" She goes, "No, I didn't buy a drink at all." And I'm like, "Well, did you have any of anyone else's drink, or did anyone else buy you a drink?" And her face just went white and her jaw dropped. She was like, and I'm like, it's not a test about what you bought. It's a test about what's inside your system.
Yeah.
Never saw her again. She she obviously failed.
Must have missed that part.
Yeah.
It appears that Tobin has a very similar story as Kevin. I guess you're able to beat the system, Tobin.
Was that girl's name Karen by any chance, Dave?
It may have been. I don't know. No, at our position, occasionally there's an accident, like somebody tweaks a bumper on a car into a post or a cone or another car or something like that when you're moving them off the ship. Sometimes we have blend lanes, like you're coming down from the top deck and you're coming up from the bottom deck. and there's no traffic control there. It's the responsibility of the driver to let the person who's in the front go first. And if you come out exactly even and you're not a very good driver and neither is the other person, you can collide and cause a problem. But then they have like a complete drug panel done on you. And that's for marijuana within the last 5 days, alcohol within the last 3 days, and everything else. So they call it a rainbow test. It's for everything that's not supposed to be in your system.
Claim to be so specific, but
what's that?
How can they claim to be so specific?
That it's a very expensive test. It's done by a very reputable company out here, and it's done by the union essentially to protect themselves, because if somebody is in the union and causes one accident and is under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time, they get rid of them, because the reputation of the union and the amount of work that they get, because they don't wreck cars and forklifts and they don't drop people's containers of stuff. Anytime there's an incident, you just know the second there's an incident, even if somebody drives their truck into you, they test you as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to say as an aside that there is, if I was going to say any proof or evidence of an all-knowing, powerful deity, all good deity, is the fact that my ex-wife's name is Karen.
Hi, Karen.
That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of all-knowing,
I hope you hit like.
Just prior to your stream, Andy, I was watching, waiting for your stream. I was watching a documentary on animals and psychedelics.
Oh, nice.
And the sheer number of animals around the world that consume psychedelics. There's thought that there's some benefit that we're overlooking.
Well, I don't think they say the word benefit. They say there's something going on that we don't have a complete grasp and understanding of, which could be good. It could be addiction. It could be a low-level, different kind of addiction. It could be a meditational benefit. Namaste. Throwback.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Some animals, it was clearly addiction, and it was clearly detrimental. But then there was jaguars who eat this certain vine before they hunt, and it actually heightens their awareness. And these...
Yeah, the jaguars are dicks.
Well, this is true.
So
the local natives use it in their culture as well. But
is it like an upper in a sense?
Stimulant or psychedelic?
Yeah. It's a psychedelic to humans, but they believe that the jaguars, it's more of a stimulant effect.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think
a
certain amount of that would heighten your senses for sure, but a certain greater amount of that would render you immobile. We're still using it.
That's what makes them dicks, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But is that part of God's plan?
It's not part of God's plan. Dolphins suck.
That's right.
I did not know that. Wow.
And they don't know for sure if those clownfish that live in anemones are receiving any hallucinogenic or psychedelic effect from the poisons and toxins that are in it, or if they are completely immune to it, right?
Right.
And what is it, the mongoose that can take a cobra bite and live?
Yeah, yep.
If I remember my Ron Tiki correctly, if I'm remembering that correctly, yes, mongeese. Yes, they can. Mongai?
Is it still a gaggle of mongoose, or is that something different?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Brainbug's in the chat. He'll tell us.
Right.
The all-knowing brainbug.
Yeah, they pass blowfish like a giant.
Brainbug, we need both the plural and the collective noun.
Now, this is interesting. The jaguar is unique that unlike other big cats who choke their prey to death, they bite the back of the skull for an instant kill. Interesting. Mongooses, that's the official plural.
Nice.
Mongooses.
See, we got friends in good places.
We do. Ox. Glad to see you here, Ox.
Yeah. So, Andy, what's up with the rest of your day?
I am working at 12, and then I have to pick up some of the cat's medical documents because the person who gave us the cat, or we got the cat from, they didn't give us the medical documents, proof of being fixed and shots and all that other stuff. So I'm going to run over there. And then when I return, what do I have to do? I probably have to try to fix my effing computer. And
so visit these wish list and send them some more RAM.
yeah. So I have to figure out what's wrong with that and do my best. And besides that, it's just really, it's just preparing for the show tomorrow, preparing for the blog post tomorrow. We are. Oh, I should say this. I am going out to Colorado with my girlfriend. Not this week, obviously, but I think it's like the weekend of the 5th. So the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So it looks like I'm going to be not doing the show for at least a day or two, probably 2 days, because I'm going to be out in Colorado. I'm allowed to take some time off, right?
Not really, no.
No.
Yeah.
But during that time, you could take your computer into a tech and have it fixed.
I could bring it to the Genius store, or
just take it to the local Best Buy. I'm sure they have a qualified 12-year-old in there that can sort it out.
Really, I didn't know you were supposed to put leeches on the Mac. Surprising.
Oh, right, it's a Mac. Yeah.
It's a Mac. So I mean, this stream is going well. There's no choppiness. There's not a problem. So
I hate to break your heart, but there was a little chop earlier.
Was there?
About a 7-second chop. Just one, but you've been good the rest of the time. Yeah.
Right.
Your image froze, your voice was perfect, and yeah. You were doing that ventriloquism thing.
Well, I'm really practicing at that. My years at Juilliard are finally paying off.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Did you and the girlfriend, when you were adopting this furry little beast, did you come up with a plan for who's cat sitting for you? Like when you go away to Colorado?
I'm glad that you asked, and we've had no plan whatsoever.
I kind of figured.
we had no plan whatsoever. My boy lives maybe a half an hour drive, and there's no traffic. He could, in theory, come in and say hello to the cat. He's very, cat friendly. And I have friends that could stop in and say hello to the cat.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Sammy, you're sharing a screen, sir. Is this pornographic? Is that what this is?
No. There's not even a nipple.
Oh, man.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Oh, man.
Very nice. Let's see.
Yeah, doesn't it seem like Jesus's whole plan was about getting nailed?
That was the divine plan. Yes, I should have some pre-recorded content. Actually, the thing is, what I'm really excited about when I have pre-recorded content, I really just want to, like this hour-long interview I did with Secular Cinephile. It's such a good interview, and I just want to share it like immediately, and I don't want to hold on to it, but I should hold on to it, but I don't know.
If you have some pre-recorded content and you want to post it, I can always do a StreamYard after party.
Oh, that's interesting.
While you're away.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hijack your show, and
Yeah, you
And
might
you
not.
know that 90% of it we'd be talking about you.
Nothing but good things, I'm sure. Nothing
We
but
just-
positive vibes.
Put a still frame of Andy up in the corner.
No one would notice.
No one would notice. No one would notice. Dragon says, Jesus podes is the plural of Jesus.
Nice.
Decided.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like Jesus podes better than Jesus I. I'll say that.
Andy, did you put links to your the interview with I forgot her name. Was it Anne?
Abby Hafer.
Abby. Yes. Did you put a link in that under here so that people can find it?
You would think I would have done something like that, Dave.
And maybe the last night stream as well that I listened.
Oh, that last night stream was really. I was really happy with that.
What was his name? The guy from he was the lawyer for the Satanic Temple.
Yeah, he was the lawyer who was dealing with the Stockdale. What's the name of it? I have it written down here. I still have my notes from last night kicking around.
Very
It's
good.
it's Scottsdale, Arizona. It's basically Scottsdale, Arizona. The municipality told the Satanists that they couldn't do their invocation, 90-second invocation. This story's been going on since 2016, and the city's paid out $176,000 to fight the temple. And most of the people who do this stuff for the temple, they're just doing it for free.
Yeah.
And because it's the right thing to do. So you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll find the link and I'll post it down. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, there's that whole idea of we want religion to be in our politics, not your religion.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can see that with the yoga story just from earlier today, right?
Oh, yeah. Did you see my comment about that? That when my church did a weekend, my ex-church, where my family goes to church, did a weekend of world religions, and the religions that they chose to highlight for their people to be, here, this is our religion compared to the other religions. It was Scientology, Rastafarianism, Mormonism, and Yoga Nidra.
That's an interesting
Wow.
series of
So they played it safe. In other words,
They played it left of safe. Yeah.
so I just dropped a link for the Big Satan interview with Stu in the chat.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'll get the other one in a second.
So how is Mr. Fuzzy Pants, the little kitty cat that's running around your place? Is it adapting well to its new life?
This cat is incredible. It's an incredible cat. It actually wants to be around us. It doesn't go and hide. I had people over on Saturday too. I had 3 of my friends come over, which I haven't seen in person for a long time. And the cat was just hanging out with us. I was impressed.
And is it biscuit the English spelling or biscuit the French spelling or biscuit or?
Dave, we're Americans. We don't allow we don't allow French or Canadian or spellings.
Careful with the Canadian.
We don't allow that here. So yes, strictly. But the girlfriend and I, we did have a discussion about how we were gonna spell it, and she floated the idea, drink. that we would do the Limp Bizkit version of Biscuit. And I'm like, I don't know. I still have bad memories of Limp Bizkit myself.
I know I don't get a vote, but I vote for that. I'm a pro the girlfriend's choice on this one. I think you got to let her have one or two. You got to.
Well, she did pick up. I mean, that was her first. I mean, we did a ranked choice voting system, and Biscuit. I mean, Biscuit was her first choice.
Yeah.
Dragon says, Andy, you should let someone else run these after parties while you're on vacation. There you go. I like that. That's good. That's good.
Or we could just take. I should have thought of this earlier. We could just out of your morning show, we can take awkward posed shots of your face. You know, when your camera freezes at the worst possible moment with one eye shut and your mouth open and your tongue in a weird spot. Yeah. Where you look like you're squinting and you're about to be punched in the face or something awful like that. We could just do like a slideshow of those for the 50 minutes or whatever.
I think that would be excellent. You just make fun of the cat. You can take a couple of pictures and just spend your time.
Yeah.
Making fun of it. Blazing Popers, we should just do a deep fake with you with that software
thing.
I like
that's
that.
Even better.
Yeah.
Because you have lots of comedian friends and some of them who are close to you that we could get on camera and do the facial overlap. And they could do their best Andy for us.
Oh, the best. There's no, this Andy can't do the best Andy. And that would be really sad, to tell you the truth. It would be really
Andy,
sad.
what did we talk about? Just take
I know.
it.
There's that therapy coming out. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for keeping me in check.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, well, it's getting to be. We've been doing whatever we do here. This is like 56 minutes into it.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
It does. And I'm just glad I didn't robot as much as I did or chop as much as I did before. So,
I think robot is the audio.
Robot is the audio.
I'm not 100% sure, but the chat will correct us quickly. But I think roboting is the audio, and I think chopping is the video.
Yeah, it's all chop. It's all chop here.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys got anything going on? Oh, you might be working, Dave, right?
No, I'm not working this morning. There's a chance. I'm just looking at the board right now, and there's a chance I might be working this afternoon because it's a holiday up here, and some people might be doing things other than wanting to work. So.
And what was the holiday again?
Memorial Day.
Oh, Memorial Day. Right. We have our Memorial Day next week.
St. Swithin's Day.
Yes. If you watch a lot of Python.
St. Swithin's Day.
Swithins. Very cool. All right. So I guess I'm just gonna close up shop. You got anything? Well, Sammy, you're probably going off to bed within at least the next 5 or 6 hours, right?
Yeah, possibly this day or the next.
Right. Yeah, because you're you're at the cusp of a new day, or you might be solidly in a new day at this point.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m.
1 a.m. Jeez. Yeah. All right, everyone who tuned in, thanks for showing up. I'm going to be doing the same crazy thing tomorrow, hopefully with less choppiness, but we'll see what happens. And Dave, thanks for showing up. Sammy and Kevin, wherever you are. I know Kevin had to go to work, so Tobin volunteered. All right, so yeah, so
Tobin would make a good Andy. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, and I'm not going to make any self-depreciating comments either because I'm working. I'm working. Got to get my Kane vibe going on here.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hooroo.